The Long Island Bus Riders Union traveled from Jamaica, Queens, all the way out to East Hampton from October 15th to 16th in a trip called Aaron's Adventures, or Rate the Ride. Labor lines followed along to document the lengthy adventure, as well as to show why bus riders are so concerned about the quality of service in Long Island. Here's their story.
I'm riding the bus today along with 4 other bus rider union members to bring attention to the lack of investment in Long Island's bus system, both in Nassau and in Suffolk. In Nassau, obviously each county's got its own issues, but in Nassau there's a huge disregard to rider representation and really getting the riders involved with the system. So in Nassau we were calling for the Nassau County government, specifically Edward Mangano, to appoint a rider representative to the Nassau County Bus Transit Committee, which is currently seated by 5 appointees, 3 by Mangano and 2 by the Nassau County Legislature, the vice chairman being the vice president of All Island Transportation, the largest taxi service in Long Island. Usually when we tell people what we're doing, we get a laugh. When you show someone the schedule, they definitely laugh. But we've had really great responses because, bus riders, they want a better system. They want to be able to not wait an hour and a half in a blizzard for a bus that might not show up. They don't want to, in Nassau County's case, be paying 25-cent fare increases every 6 months to fund a system that has systemic, late buses, systemic maintenance issues. Bus riders are not happy with the bus service that they're getting, whether it's Suffolk or Nassau. So what we're doing today is really we're getting out there, we're talking to riders, and we're trying to figure out the best way to make both Suffolk and Nassau County bus systems better and more affordable and more functional for the constituency of the island. So if we're talking about Nassau, the biggest change we're calling for right now is rider representation. It is so important to put someone who actually rides the bus on a committee that oversees the bus. We cannot stress how important it is to get a voice of the people for the people. Not just, give a nice presentation about how, this month we went up 25% in ridership. No, because the numbers are nothing. What you need is real voices from real people, and that's what we want. Suffolk County pays for over 60% of the budget for their bus system, while Nassau pays well under 40%. So we're really calling for $10 million in additional funding from New York State because the bus is needed. The Suffolk County bus has very limited, weekend service. Just for the first time in 2014 did they get any Sunday service. There is no late night service, and it really puts a damper on the modes in which people can get around to work, from work, and anywhere else in between. So today we're calling for New York State to give us more money for the buses, to invest in the buses and invest in the constituents of both Suffolk and Nassau County, but specifically Suffolk County right now.
It's a contributor to the cause of actually improving the bus service here on Long Island. Nassau and Suffolk County both need later hours service, more frequent service, better bus equipment, and some of these buses should be retired. More frequent service, in many cases more routes, so that people don't have to walk as far to a bus stop. Better sidewalks, so that people can actually wait at bus stops, not like we wait in the middle of the road, where we're putting ourselves in danger.
I represent a community who utilizes mass transit, and I look at it from 2 perspectives. One is the issue of quality of life, and the other is the issue of how this benefits society in general here on Long Island in the area of revenues. coming back into the infrastructure. The first one is obvious. It's obvious that for somebody to be able to get from one point to another by adding more buses, more direct routes, that certainly is a benefit to the individual. It's certainly a benefit to the individual to have more routes available would give you more options as to where you can work on Long Island. The money brought back to your community allows you to have a better quality of life. But then when you talk about how having a better transportation infrastructure really benefits society, all of society here on Long Island. And when you think about it, being able to give somebody more options of jobs means that that person will now be on the tax roll, will now be paying taxes into government, which comes back in the form of more infrastructure and better quality of life for everybody. The fact that somebody can hop on a bus and go to a distant mall benefits the economic development in that particular area. So this investment, investing in increasing the transportation infrastructure, is something that stimulates the economy, and it's not disposable dollars being invested in this. Whatever we invest in this will come back in the form of revenues, in the form of more economic development, of more opportunities. The benefits are 10 times over the lifetime of the infrastructure that lasts. I plan to roll up my sleeves and start working, going into a budget negotiation for an appropriation of $10 million, which I believe is the amount that would be necessary to be able to provide an adequate service here on Long Island, stimulate our economy, and affect the quality of life of so many people.
I note that Suffolk County and the federal government has stepped up to the plate. It's time for Albany to step up to the plate. What I see when I look around my community, and Assemblyman Ramos and I represent much of the same constituents, they have this thing called transit-oriented development around train stations, trying to get young professionals in. Maybe they'll take the train into Queens or the city to work. Well, we need transit-oriented development around buses as well, and the buses need to be there to make that happen. As was said earlier, it's good for jobs, it's good for justice, it's good for the economy, it's good for the tax base. See, my own constituents do not have the same bus services that they have in our state capital and the regions around there. And I do it to reduce my carbon footprint, which is another good reason to have extensive bus systems where people get out of their cars. We look at the Long Island Expressway. I think mentioned before, many of you were born. There was an old comedian that used to call the Long Island Expressway the world's longest parking lot. And it's only gotten worse, and that can help with buses. So thank you for your advocacy. Phil and I are going to jointly roll up our sleeves, and we're going to get that $10 million.
Once again, that was Rate the Ride, Long Island Bus Rider Union's trip across Long Island. To find out more about their campaign and the latest initiatives, check out their Facebook and Twitter. You can also find out more about Labor Lines by going to laborlines.com and following us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, catch you on the bus.